Hey, what's going on? There is a saying you might be familiar with that you often see exactly what you're looking for. Another way to say that is our perspective of our experience is often more important than the experience itself. Where am I going with this? Well, here's the deal. If you and I were to sit down and make a list of either why you got married if you're married or why you want to get married if you're looking to get married, we would come up with a short, or for some of you, a really long list of things that you want to see or expect to see in your marriage, and you would use this list to evaluate that relationship at some point. Now, the problem with that is that if we have a wrong view of what marriage or the relationship is supposed to be, we will now use that criteria to experience, see, and evaluate our marriage, which may cause us to be frustrated, disappointed, and let down, not because the relationship is not what it's supposed to be, because we have a wrong view of what we think it is. So in this video, I have one simple goal. I want to help correct, help define, maybe help redefine for some of you what marriage actually is supposed to be and what marriage is not supposed to be, so that we can have the right lens to view marriage through. That's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to give you 8 ideas. That's today on Relationshots. Hey, welcome to Relationshots. My name's Eric Wooten. If this is your first time hanging out with us, welcome to the place to get practical relationship advice that actually works in your relationship. If you've not already done so, go ahead and click the subscribe button and the bell notification so you don't miss upcoming videos. If you need some free resources, we've got a free guide to intimacy. We've got a free dater's manifesto if you're dating. We've got a free guide on how to create a relationship rhythm. You can see all that in the description area below. If you're a married couple and you need some help or maybe just an opportunity to strengthen your relationship, we have an upcoming 4-week marriage masterclass that's kicking off in the next week or so, as well as our marriage membership, which is a community full of other couples and resources and videos to strengthen your relationship. You can get all that information in the description area below. So let's talk about today what marriage actually is. I'm not going to spend any time trying to break down weird nuances and all that kind of stuff. Here's the reality. A lot of us have a wrong perspective of marriage. And because we have a wrong perspective of marriage, when we step into marriage, we are now dissatisfied, frustrated, hopeless because it's not what we thought it should be. And simply, nothing's wrong with the relationship. You just had a wrong view of what it was supposed to be. So in this video, I'm going to give you 8 ideas to think about what marriage actually is, hoping to help you either define or redefine if you have a wrong view of marriage or if you're going to get married. Let me help you before you get there to have a clear perspective instead of trying to compare marriage to some false fantasy that the world has created or you've created that now leaves you frustrated in your relationship. So the first idea I want to give you is this, that marriage is a gift. Listen, gratitude is so important for a relationship. If you get to the point where you feel like your spouse owes you something because you made a marriage commitment to them, you now have placed yourself in a place where you no longer can be gracious or grateful or happy about the relationship at all. You will start criticizing and judging. Listen, you're not a gift. The gift is that somebody else was willing to trust you enough to commit their whole lives to you. Do you understand? That's a gift. None of us deserve. None of us are great enough. None of us are so wonderful that we deserve for somebody else to go, I'm going to commit my whole life relationally to you and put my trust in you. That is a gift. So remember, marriage is a gift. It's not a right. It's not a burden. Marriage is a gift. Number 2. Marriage is as much internal as it is external. What I mean by that is the internal communication you have with yourself about your spouse is often more impactful in the marriage than the external communication you actually have with them. That internal dialogue, the running narrative in your head about your spouse. If that's positive, you will believe the best about your spouse. If that is negative, you will continue to believe the worst about your spouse. So many times we focus on our external communication and we don't communicate well. My question would be, what is your internal communication when it comes to your spouse? Is it a positive thing? And if so, it's going to change the way you see them and the way you interact with them. It's funny that we can take the exact same character quality and we can see it in a negative light. Man, my spouse takes so long to make a decision, all the details and the questions, and it's exhausting. Or you can turn around and go, my gosh, my spouse dots every I, crosses every T, and there's so many times we've had everything we needed. We haven't had to go back and redo something because that's how they're wired. Two different ways to see the same thing. So marriage is as much internal as it is external. Number 3 is marriage is an opportunity to learn love. Now, we've gotten in this weird place where we think we're supposed to know everything about love, everything about relationship. People try to pride themselves on that. I don't care how much work you do. I don't care how awesome you are. When you get married, you are not fully equipped to love and care for the person you decided to marry because they are nothing like you. We have to learn that. Marriage is a process, a journey, a lifetime. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's an opportunity for us to learn this thing called love. We need to learn how our spouse desires and receives love. We have to teach each other how we want to be loved. Marriage is not some weird chemical attraction. We just feel each other. We're soulmates. We just get each other. All that crap. That's not the reality. Love is built. Love takes time to build. Love is marriage is an opportunity for us to learn what this whole thing called love is. So the fact that we don't know what we're doing in the first couple years of marriage, that should be the case. You don't know this person. I don't care how many people you've dated, you do not know this person. And you have to develop and build and learn love in a relationship. Number 4, marriage is impacted by our past. All of you who want to say, well, the past, we got to move forward, we got to leave the past in the past, and I don't care about a person's past. Your past will impact your marriage more than you believe it will. I think one of the greatest responsibilities we have in marriage is to deal with our stuff, to heal from our stuff, to acknowledge our childhood and relational wounds and actually deal with them. I've counseled so many couples, and one of the biggest problems couples have is not oftentimes relational, it's personal. Our past affects us. There's some truth to the fact that our past patterns are a great predictor of possible future patterns. We can't go, well, I used to be like that in the past, but man, when I met you, I've never felt this way. Listen, your past performances will probably show up in the present and probably show up in the future unless you're doing the work to deal with some of that stuff. So I don't care who you are. If you're unwilling to deal with your past going into marriage, your marriage will force you to deal with some of the things in your past because they're going to cause problems in your present and your future inside your marriage. Your marriage will be impacted by your past, whether you recognize it or not. Number 5, marriage is a call to servanthood. Listen, if you don't like serving other people wholeheartedly, do not get married. And if you're already married and you don't like it, learn to like it. Marriage is a call to serve others. Proper love in relationship is not about what you can get, it's about what you can give. We should be showing up at the altar on our wedding day focused solely on what we're going to give to this relationship, not about what we're trying to get. We have been called to serve one another. Our desire in marriage should be to make our spouse's life better every day. And our focus should be more on bettering their life than it should be on bettering our life. If you don't like to serve people, then you don't like to be married. And it's not always reciprocated. Should it be in a healthy relationship? Absolutely. But there will be seasons in every marriage where one cannot reciprocate to the level of the other for a number of different reasons I don't even have time to go into because it's so vast. But there will be seasons when you have different capacities to give. And so you may be giving more than you're receiving in different seasons because you have a greater capacity. Now, that doesn't mean that it should be one-sided for our whole marriage. We should talk about that. We should deal with that. We should get some help with that. But listen, above all, you must understand that marriage is a call to servanthood. So do not jump into a marriage if you're here for what you're trying to get. It's a call to servanthood. Number 7, marriage is about friendship. Listen, for all the Hollywood romance movies and chemistry and sex and passion and all that stuff, the foundation of a great marriage is a great friendship. In surveys done, over 70% of both men and women said that the quality of their sex, romance, and passion was directly tied to the quality of the friendship in the relationship. If you're a good friend, you will have a good marriage. If you're somebody who's not a good friend right now and you're not married, learn how to be a good friend to your friends before you decide to get married. Because when you're not just all excited and romantic and starry-eyed with your spouse, you still need to be a friend to them and a good friend to them. As somebody who is a good friend to their friends is probably going to be a good friend in marriage. Marriage is about friendship. Number 7, marriage requires suffering. Yeah, I know. You like to hit the pause button, turn this video off. Listen. There will be suffering in marriage. I think couples today do not have the same relational tolerance to pain that the previous generations did. Now, some of you will say, well, yeah, but I'm not going to be like my grandparents. You could tell they didn't like each other and they just stayed together even though they didn't like each other. I'm not saying stay together and be miserable. I'm saying stay together and work on your relationship to make it better. But in a lifelong relationship, there will be hurt, there will be disappointment, there will be letdown, there will be pain. You have to learn how to push through suffering at times. It's not all roses, it's not all rainbows and unicorns. We have to have a pain tolerance when it comes to relationship. That's part of relationship. Our spouse will fall short at times. And when they do, that will hurt us and cause us pain. We will suffer. We'll have to learn how to forgive, how to push through the pain, and how to restore the relationship. So if you think you're going into a relationship and it's only going to be good all the time, you're fooling yourself. Be prepared for suffering at times when you have to be selfless in the relationship. And lastly, marriage is a refining process. Listen, not only will you get a front row seat to your spouse's refining process, but the marriage will refine you in ways you didn't know you needed to be refined as you go throughout the relationship. Listen, when you get married, you and your spouse are not everything that you will one day be. You still have work to do. You still have issues in your life. And so part of the process of marriage is it will refine you. There is no way to replicate the proximity, the closeness, the intimacy, the vulnerability, and the experience that you will have in marriage in any other relationship. There's no way to do it. And because of that closeness, a marriage will bring things out of you that you didn't even know were in you. I thought I was patient until I got married. I thought I was selfless until I got married. I thought I was laid back until I got married. I thought I was super loving until I got married. It will bring stuff out of you. Listen, marriage will open and expose every little crack in your character. Every flaw in the bones of your character will be exposed in the context of marriage. And we've got to be willing to allow that to refine us. And not just assume because this person brought something out of you you didn't know was in you, it's their fault. See, ain't nobody else made me feel like this. I only reacted like this because you do this to me. No, you reacted like that because there's something in you that this person, I'm not saying their behavior was proper, but this person somehow brought something out of you that you didn't know was in you because you never been this close to somebody before. It's a refining process. It will work on you. You both need to grow so you can expect it to be a refining process. Okay, that's enough. I know you guys are like, man, this would depress me, man. I want to get married. Or you're already married. You're like, dang, I didn't do that. Listen, the only reason I'm doing this is because I want you to have a correct perspective of marriage. Is marriage great? Absolutely. Can you have fun times? Absolutely. Is there a romance and passion and sex and enjoyment to marriage? Absolutely. But there's a whole other side and there's other things involved too. And if you go in thinking that the model of marriage that we've been sold in the world is the model for marriage, and then you actually endure the realities of marriage, you're going to want to quit. Because it seems like something's wrong. Nothing's wrong. These are aspects of marriage as well. So I want you to be able to have a right perspective so that you can correctly evaluate what's going on and expectations in a relationship. So I love to hear your thoughts on these 8 ideas that I proposed in the comment section below. Whether you agree, disagree, whether I missed some stuff that you would add to the list, drop a comment below. Let's talk about it. Again, if we can help you in any area of your relationship, listen, if you're not intentional in your marriage, it's not growing, it's declining. So sign up for our marriage class. It's a 4-week marriage class. We have a ton of fun. We learn a lot. Join our membership community. Be intentional about your marriage so that it can grow and thrive. Until next time, I'll see you right back here on Relation Shots.